Dude, he's not Irish, dude. He's definitely Jewish. Maybe he's Irish. I don't know. Who knows at this point? I can't even tell anymore. I've become so red pill I can't even tell. And just depending on whether I like him or not. Dude, that's Irish, bro. If he's Irish, he's like an Irish woman, bro. He has a face built for domestic abuse. Okay, that's too far. Let's move on. Back to this.
pasear con nosotros a los Estados Unidos?
This may sound a bit amateur, but I didn't realize up until this point that we were actually gonna cross the river.
He's a Freemason, most likely, or trailing from Seattle. Maybe. I don't know. Where's it? We got to see his ears and his eyes. That's the big tell. The eyes need to be in the middle of the ears, or towards the middle of the ears. But if the eyes are above the ears, you can be sure.
I was expecting just like a tour of their route, but obviously they had other plans.
Shaking my head, and Paulton can't recognize an Irish surname. Dude, this is just what Jewish people do, but in reverse. You know how when Jewish people do bad stuff, like Jeffrey Epstein, or the bankers, or the slave owners, Jewish people are like, oh yeah, white people suck. That's what I'm doing here. Oh, an Irish person's being cringy? Dude, these Jews suck, bro. This Jew is out of control.
Y luego ahí ya cruzamos para los Estados Unidos.
Sí.
Ah, sí, como $5,000.
God damn it. It was also gonna cost us $5,000 a piece. This was not discussed, but I wasn't sure what to do.
So, eso es la primer parte.
La primera parte es esta.
I like his Spanish. I'm impressed by his Spanish. You know, now that I understand he might be Irish, I understand his perspective, and I think he should not be in trouble.
Y luego...
That's the funniest thing, though. Dude. And it's bad because it's ironic, but every time you do something ironically, it ends up not being ironic. So I just know this is how it's going to be. Just like being absolutely racist, like pro-Irish racist. Just like a Jewish person. Just doing that. It's so funny. It actually is really hilarious to do, and it's very easy. And it's a lot more relaxing. So I think I might become retarded.
Y luego necesitamos conseguir...
Ears below. Dude, yeah, that's not an Irish face. Then again, who's that comedian guy? The Irish comedian guy? The socialist? It could be that type of good Irish person. I don't know. It does kind of look Irish, honestly. And he's also tilting his head back, so. Question, how do these bottom of the barrel third worlders afford the crossing free? I don't have an answer for that. That's a good question. That's a very good question. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation that isn't really conspiracy. But it could be also, like, it literally could be that the coyotes or the people who are, you know, that sounds too fun. It's too, like, try hard to say that. That the smugglers or the guides that bring them across get paid by farmers. That's a non-governmental conspiracy thing that makes sense. Like, you could have, like, a Texan rancher or somebody like Florida, like a fruit grower, fruit picker, somebody who runs like an orchard or a farm or a ranch or some sort of industry that you know, a restaurant industry. There could be people they're in contact with that they bring, if they can bring the people there, that person gets paid. It could be that, where it's like almost like contracting, where you shuttle these people across. If they get there, you get paid. That would be very, you wouldn't need like George Soros. You wouldn't need some sort of conspiracy. You would just have, you know, shady business people. Most farmers do this. They pay for illegals. Well, you know, I'm not saying most farmers like pay for people to be smuggled across, but almost every single rancher and farmer has illegals. And a lot of industries do. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's that, where there's like a sort of like contract basis of, you know, hey, for every 100 people you bring, I'll kick back 15 grand your way or something like that. And you look white, so you $5,000 for you. And there definitely is, there are the Jewish NGOs, and I'm sure some Lutheran Puritan ones, and probably some Catholic ones, but it's mostly Jewish. But I wouldn't be surprised also if there's kickbacks from the, or even the government too. Like, it wouldn't even be surprising if it's the government of Mexico or the towns paying, just like Abbott paid to send migrants to New York City. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that these people are contracted by the government or the cartels to get rid of them because they're annoying and they're a burden on the economy. That's unironically a real possibility. Or it could just be Jews. Who knows?
Alguien que nos levante. De cuenta es un carro y ya nos sube hasta San Antonio.
Ok.
Pero tenemos que caminar, a de cuenta, hasta Uvalde. Háganse para acá y regresen.
At this point, it became quite obvious that I was in far too deep. The coyote told me that after crossing the river, we had to walk from Eagle Pass to Uvalde, Texas, which is over 67 miles on foot. How would this be possible? According to Apple Maps, it said it would take over 24 hours, and we had no water. Plus, we apparently owed these guys $5,000. Looking back, I would have asked to turn around, but we were in far too deep. And while they're being pretty cool, you never know when a switch could flip or something. Abruptly, the younger coyote asked me to duck down because a Border Patrol boat was speeding by.
You know, this is good storytelling. I like this video. I'm supporting him now. You know what? You know what, young shaman? I support this dude. I didn't even know he was Irish. I support him. I like this video. This is comfy.
Mira, este es un montecito.
I don't know, 5K ain't that much, especially if your family's kicking in. They know money and visas will be coming soon. That is true. Yeah, it could be an investment from families. I think it's like a lot of bad incentives. There's incentives for people who run farms that they get, you know, they have a hookup that sends them people. There's an incentive for the government who wants a replacement group to basically replace the underclass that's white. That's a bad incentive. You have the incentive of mentally ill people who are, you know, brainwashed, like Catholics or Lutherans or Protestants or whatever. You have the incentives of Jews who hate, you know, who want to import people so they don't feel stressed, and you know, whether it's conscious or not. And then you have the incentive for the Mexican government to then push these people out if they're a drain on the economy. And you have an incentive for drug dealers, traffickers. It's a really bad situation, a really bad incentive structure. The problem is it wouldn't really be that way if it wasn't for the CIA. Like, this is really the truth of the matter, and until we really address this, and I don't know if we ever will, it's never going to really get fixed, is that the cartels and all the instability is because we've turned a lot of border towns and a lot of areas in Mexico into drug, like places for white people, gringos, Americans to get drugs. We've turned a lot of them into pill mills, essentially. And because we didn't fix the pill mill problem, we just made it so it's, you know, it is like criminal. And the CIA was involved, and they are still involved, and that sort of stuff. And I'm sure there's some DOD or DHS people who are involved too, with smuggling drugs and guns. And you really do need to fix that, because until you fix that, then you have this really, really powerful nation with really powerful people with connections, with money, an insane amount of money compared to especially people in Mexico, funding stuff that ruins a local economy, because, you know, just like when tech people move to an area, it makes the area expensive. When the people who make a ton of money selling drugs and trafficking people and trafficking drugs, those people make a ton of money, which then makes it where they get to go to the nicest areas, which ruins the nicest areas, which then makes everybody else poorer, which, you know, makes areas unstable too, because now these people who are criminally inclined are also living next door. And guess what? When they're criminally inclined to do stuff like smuggle drugs or be in a cartel, you're also criminally inclined to hurt people and not really care about your neighborhood. So it's just a bad situation. Until we fix the American side, the Mexican side won't get fixed. And it really is a huge, most of the blame, in my opinion, is on America and the CIA. You know, that's not even me being like, oh, I'm not racist. That's just me being like, it really is the problem of Anglos and Jews. Not really, like, Mexicans will be Mexicans. They're chill. And that is, you know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
Este es todavía un monte, y después de este monte sigue ya lo americano.
Ok. ¿Quieres vivir en los Estados Unidos o te gustas vivir aquí en México?
Sí, yo quiero vivir en Estados Unidos, pero eso ya va a ser después. Ahorita aquí estoy bien.
Sí, tú tienes 18 años, hay mucho tiempo, o 19.
Sí, 19.
Ok, hay mucho tiempo para
hay mucho tiempo
entrar.
The other coyote asks me to give him the 100 pesos that I'd brought along for emergency purposes. He says someone spotted us and is asking for money.
Perhaps you see Steve Franson. You see Steve Franson with a butterfly net and a sign that says "Farmhands Wanted."
I approach the man to see what's going on. The man who asked us for money is a bit strange.
Mexicans are not chill. Maybe some, but a ton of them are here solely to destroy and take. Yeah, but why wouldn't you, dude? Like everybody at the end of the day, maybe not in Africa, but generally North America people, they are pretty chill with the people they're chill with. And then the people they're not chill with, they're kind of very rude to in their own way. And that, it's, if you were Mexican, why wouldn't you take advantage of America? And it's not to say, oh, I'm gonna let you do it. Like it's just my stuff. Obviously, the key to understanding is not to say, oh, that's okay. The key to understanding is to be like, well, I understand where you're coming from, so I know how to more adequately prevent you from wanting to even do this. But why wouldn't they, dude? I don't think that's really a character flaw. I think that's kind of like, duh, duh. You have this group of there's a ton of money, and there's a bunch of retarded people, and they're annoying and they're obnoxious and they're stupid. Yeah, sure, take their stuff. I don't really see that as a character deficit. I kind of see that as duh.
To function as both a tax.
I work in property management. They aren't your friends. Yeah, well, I'm not saying they're my friends, dude. I'm saying they're not like I think you leave them alone in Mexico. You don't destabilize Mexico. I think this sort of situation is largely manufactured. It's largely encouraged by drug trafficking and CIA stuff and stuff like illegal, like farmers hiring illegals and people being willing to pay under the table and all that stuff and gun trafficking, the cartels essentially being like a CIA thing or starting out as a CIA thing to destabilize actual Mexican leaders for the benefit of Anglos and Jews. I don't really think it's organic.
And someone who provides first aid and flotation devices to migrants. Whatever his title was or who he works for, I don't know. But there was no option but to bring this man along.
Once again, you guys have to understand, it's like saying somebody's nice or saying somebody like you can understand where they're coming from. It doesn't mean, oh, and here, have my stuff. It means, oh, I get where you're coming from. You have to be willing to be like, oh, well, this is my stuff and put your foot down and be like, no, you can't have this, dude. You don't need to be like, oh, these people are evil, monster, demons to say, oh, yeah, I'll touch my stuff and you'll deal with the consequences. Like that's like a mentally ill way to go about things. You have to be willing to understand their perspective while also being able to be like, yeah, dude, like, no. It's like a dog. You have a dog and they're hungry and they're begging for table scraps. You understand why they want table scraps and you understand what they want your food. But when they hop up on the table, you got to deal with them. Because even though you don't think they're like a monster, you think, oh, well, obviously you're doing this for this reason. Time to set the standard as to why you can't like bite me if you want food.
Hola, ¿qué pasa? ¿Puedes decir tu nombre y dónde eres?
Me llamo. Soy de aquí de Piedras Negras.
What do you think about the idea of shipping in voters? Yeah, that too. Because it's people say, oh, they don't vote, but what they do is they basically can influence local elections, and they can also influence voting blocks and influence that sort of stuff. Because they might not be able to vote, but their kids will be able to if they're anchor babies or whatever. And the population size then determines which states get how many votes in a representational republic, democracy, or whatever. So yeah, that's another valid thing. I think that's a little abstract, especially now. I think maybe that's more real in the 90s, 2000s. I think now we're kind of in the stage of it's like looting. It's not really like planning to loot. We're in the looting stage. So I think stuff happening now is a little more immediate in terms of plans. I don't think people are planning 20 years ahead. I could be wrong, but I really don't think people who are being malicious are planning 20 years ahead. I think people who are being malicious are just looting.
¿Qué haces hoy?
Pues aquí apoyando a la gente que va cruzando, los estamos apoyando cruzan y a veces no traen su chaleco, no traen protección para el agua, ¿verdad? No traen salvavidas y pues los estamos apoyando, ¿verdad? En eso, para que no vaya a haber un accidente o algo, porque la gente no conoce el río y llega y nada más quiere brincar y cruzan con los niños en los brazos y pues yo también tengo hijos y eso es lo que...
As we learned in our previous episode, the Rio Grande is 4 feet and 9 inches deep, and 58% of Mexicans reported as not being able to swim. So many children and older grandmothers who try and cross the river into America but are below 4 feet.
I don't hate them for human nature. Well, don't hate, bro. Unless it's like a rapist who raped you. Then I would laugh at that. But you don't have to hate people to say you can't do stuff. It's like you have food, you only have enough food for your family. Somebody asks for your food, or they want your food, or they're trying to take it. You don't have to hate them to be like, no, dude, you stay away. Somebody breaks into your house, you shoot them. You don't have to hate them. They broke into your house. Hate is a bad motivator because it makes you do dumb stuff. And it's like raises your cortisol levels, stresses you out. It makes you lose your hair. Ask me how I know. you don't have to hate people to be like, no, dude, you can't. This is my stuff.
9, end up drowning.
3 migrants have died near Shelby Park in Eagle Pass. A woman and 2 children drowned in the Rio Grande River.
4 migrants, including an infant, have drowned in Eagle Pass.
Lo que muchas veces no miran ellos, ¿verdad? O sea que pueden tropezar o algo y en lo que se tropiezan el niño puede agarrar agua o algo. Y sí, pues a veces no les ayudamos, pero les avisamos, ¿verdad? Es peligroso, aparentemente se mira tranquilo, pero sí hay lugares donde está hondo y puedes ir caminando y de repente pisas y te hundes y poquita corriente que haya en ese pedazo te lleva.
Sí, ¿qué tipo de trabajo haces?
Creo yo, anda entre los $7,000 y $10,000 en entrar a los Estados Unidos. Me queda cerca del río y vengo aquí al río a ver en qué puedo ayudar y a veces me dan algo de dinero, ¿verdad? Y...
Sí, gracias mi amigo para la entrevista.
¿Qué?
Sí.
Chile, ¿tú quién eres, compa?
Despite his Good Samaritan framing, we had no option but to pay him for his services. Still, apparently this is a bad place to cross. Our coyote points to the water to show me something.
Pues hay varias ocasiones que hay muertos ahí en las pelotas naranjas. Yo le digo las pelotas de la muerte, ¿verdad? Porque cada vez hay muertos ahí.
He points to the orange buoys in the river, installed by the state of Texas to deter migrants.
A disturbing discovery at the border. Security officials found a body trapped in the buoys recently placed in the river across from Eagle Pass.
The coyote says that on multiple occasions he's seen dead bodies trapped in the buoys, so we'll need to keep walking. But stops to tell me that he believes the Border Patrol boat from earlier has been following us using infrared heat sensor cameras. Out of nowhere, the first aid collector man starts hauling ass and my coyote follows him. Naturally, I run after them for about 10 minutes until we finally get back to a new spot in the forest. Once again, they bring up money.
So kind of what they were saying was that right now the standard market rate for an average border crossing with a coyote is between 3 and...
Dude, they're just scamming him, bro. They're literally just scamming him. This is a scam, honestly. Dude, this is so funny.
$5,000.
I'm not sure how they expected me to pay them, but I wasn't worried about that. My primary concern was getting back into America. Once there, I'm sure we could easily arrange some kind of wire transfer or something. But I didn't feel that a remote forest in Mexico was the place to negotiate.
Dude, you're in danger. We need $7 million now.
Negotiate. So
it's like Matchstick Men.
All right, so we just made it on a maybe 1.5 mile hike through the woods, and now we're here on the banks of the Rio Grande.
I hear the sound of a machete striking a tree behind me in the distance, so I turn around.
What the fuck? ¿Está bien? ¿Tú conoces? Okay. All right, guy with a machete just came out of nowhere. I guess it's kind of normal to want to chop down sticks and shit out here. But yeah, definitely not the most chill thing to see right now.
My coyotes assure me that all is well. He was just making sure that we paid the first aid man. And after a final plunge deep into the woods, we found ourselves at the perfect embankment.
Yeah, every time there's a jump scare you have to pay. Every time you jump, it's like, oh yeah, I'm got another $100.
There were no orange buoys in the river here, and very limited razor wire on the American side. So they said we'd cross here.
All right, so as you guys can see, we're at the end of the journey here. Right here behind me is the Rio Grande. So over yonder is the United States.
Much like the initial entry point into the forest, migrants had left behind a ton of garbage here.
We got hella garbage here. We got a children's coloring book right here. I hope they're doing well, but I must say they did not do a very good job. But it's all good. Let kids be kids.
There was also a bunch of dudes there, just hanging out.
We got like a Mexican Ernest Hemingway type figure down here.
Just fishing and wishing people the best of luck.
Be careful. You have a good trip. Be careful.
I'm not sure why, but Ernesto's words gave me the confidence boost that I needed, and the coyotes said it was go time.
Come on.
The wise black man sitting at the bus station said to me, "It be how it bees." And I said, "I'm not sure why, but this wise old man, Tyrone, he spoke to me, and he made me feel that everything would be okay."
Vamos.
See? After stripping down to my boxers and taking off my shoes, the reality of the risk that we're about to take begins to set in. At this point, I wonder if this whole
The wise old man said, "Damn, nigga, you got a light?" And I don't know why, but that wise old black man, he made me feel like a real man.
Overall, many migrants have died on this exact journey.
In 2019 alone, 109 people lost their lives in the Rio Grande River. And last month, the body of a young girl was pulled from that body of water after an unsuccessful attempt to cross.
I see a picture of a young boy on the ground and begin to wonder, did he make it across into America for a better life? There's no way to know. There was also no time to ask questions. The first coyote was already in the water.
I like the video, but it is like, you can't do this, dude. It's cool to make like a cool video, and not even like making it this sappy like narrative is fine, but you can't have this. You can't have people humanizing people breaking the law, unless it's rap music and they're already citizens. But you can't have like humanizing foreigners like taking advantage of your system. You really can't do that. That should be treason. Hang this man for treason. This man needs to be hung and killed. Anyway, thank you, Anonymous.
Anonymous sent $200.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew Callaghan. I appreciate it.
It was my turn.
What would you do in the situation, Paul? Which was the situation? Being the kid, or being the Mexican, or being Andrew Callaghan, naked, taking a poop, filming it?
Step by step, I inch myself down. And after a few small strides, I reach the water.
Would you risk it all for the story? No, the stuff I've done never risk it all. It was more for the experience, not for the video. The stuff I've done that's like wild, it's like awesome because it was like for my own personal amusement and catharsis.
From there was only one way to go. In.
Let's go. 10 Paul Town Halls funded. Dude, that's like half of a Paul Town Hall. We need to make 10 next to that tonight for my computer.
As I inched through the rush.
Yeah, I think it's cool footage. I think it's a cool video, but you can't have it. You can't have people like humanizing people, like breaking your immigration law. You shouldn't have them like demonizing them. You should understand them, but humanizing and like sympathizing with it. Yes, humanizing is fine, but saying like I wonder, that's fine for like a cool video, and it's a good video. It's a good documentary, but you really can't have that type of behavior. That's like subversive.
Green water, I began to feel the undertow, the rapid current beneath the river's surface I'd been warned about. And so my coyote asks that we link arms to avoid the rushing currents.
Saludo para piedras.
I see an entanglement of razor wire that lets me know we're almost home, and Larry Susan's close behind me. Thank God, the experience is finally almost over.
Grab it and the other. What?
I breathe a sigh of relief as my feet touch American soil. I was finally home, in the land of the free, where the...
That's kind of gay. Honestly, that's kind of gay, dude. You went on a walk. It's not that hard, dude. Now, if you had made it across the 60-mile hike, if you had made it the 60 miles, now that would be cool, because then it'd be like, I finally did it. I went the whole route. But to say you crossed a little retarded stream, it's like a big deal. Chill out.
Bald eagle flies. Sure, we had 76 miles to go until Uvalde, but at least I made it across the river, and away from Mexico for now. Suddenly, my coyote ducked for cover and told us to be quiet.
Manos arriba. Ven pa' acá, usted.
Speak English.
Hands up. Speak English?
Yeah.
Get up. Let me see your hands. Got any guns on you?
No, sir.
Face away from me.
We're journalists.
Usted, manos arriba. Bájate. Súbete. You too. You speak English?
Yeah.
Stand up.
I couldn't believe it. Border Patrol had been watching us the entire time since we entered the forest.
Yeah, I can clearly hear him swimming.
and set up an ambush on the American side to apprehend
You
us.
two, face away from me. Walk backwards over here. Hey, ven pa acá, wey.
Immediately, my coyotes jumped back into the water, swimming back to Mexico.
Come back over here. Get over here.
This left us alone in Border Patrol custody.
There was one guy here, he obviously ran back, and then the 2 USCs right there.
After crossing the river, Andrew and his cameraman were arrested by United States Border Patrol for illegal entry into the United States. They did not realize this, but what they did was a federal felony offense called failure to report. After being arrested,
They did not realize, but breaking into a country is illegal.
they were driven to a migrant processing center and placed under detainee status and held for several days, much of which was spent in solitary confinement. Thankfully, Channel 5 personnel were able to recover their memory cards, which is how you were able to see this footage. But our team also took things a step further while Andrew was detained. Using details he gave to us over the jail phone, we hired a video game designer to create a graphic recreation of the things he saw and heard on the inside. And we compiled these animations and voiceovers into a documentary. If you'd like to see it, go to our Patreon, www.patreon.com/channel5.
Come on.
Again, that's www.patreon.com/channel5. As many of you know, we are primarily crowdfunded and supported by your monthly contributions. Free the guys and free C Mac the Loke.
Channel 5 live worldwide, Hollywood and Vine.
Fuck the authority. Channel 5 News.
Channel 55.
Dude. I'm not gonna pay it. I want to see the animation, honestly. It kind of sounds funny. The cartels help the PR campaign because they financially benefit from trafficking people. You do not have the right to cross the border in the same way that 2 million illegal migrants did last year. Thanks, Democrats. This isn't even simply true journalism. This is something beyond anything we've really seen in decades. No, not really. Really hope those coyotes are good, man. Dude, I hate the word coyote. You're like a smuggler, bro. Human smuggler.